Trin from Trin Powers from Pot Rats Hockey. Welcome to the channel. This is part 2 in the 3-part series of the expansion draft for the Seattle Kraken. Like I said, I've always wanted to do videos like this, and in video 1, we went through the Anaheim Ducks all the way through to the Minnesota Wild, the first 15 teams. Now, there's 15 teams left. Yes, I know there's 31 NHL teams, but the Vegas Golden Knights are exempt from this expansion draft for some reason, even though it obviously won't hurt them because they're the best team in the league. I'm really bitter about that, because I was a big fan of Vegas when they came into the league, and now they're just way too damn good, and it's not fair. They their fan base gets to watch a winner all the time, and as I mentioned in the previous video, I'm an Edmonton Oilers fan. I went through 10 years with no playoffs. Yeah, was not a lot of fun. So anyways, we're just going to get right back in to do the protection lists from the teams from Montreal all the way to Winnipeg, so let's get started. Here we are, the Montreal Canadiens. Carey Price will be the goalie with a no-movement clause. Of course, Jeff Petrie. I think that Joel Edmondson has done enough to warrant another one, and probably Ben Sherratt. Yes, I'm leaving Shea Weber exposed at that number, at that age, and he can still play, but I just don't see Seattle touching him, so there's no need to be on to use one of your slots to protect him. Jonathan Drouin. Can't score, but puts up points. Josh Anderson for sure. Tyler Toffoli, what a contract that he's on, and what a signing for Mark Bergevin, the Burger Van. A bunch of unrestricted free agents coming up here. I think Jake Evans and Jesperi Kotkaniemi will be protected. And while Thomas Tatar doesn't have a contract for next year, I can totally see him re-signing. He's been a good fit there, and I see that happening for him. Exposure requirements you see right here. I still need one more player that meets the goal. But if Philip Deneau signs, then he would be that guy. It would be exposed. I think that they'd protect him instead then. So we'll just kind of play that one as we go. Nashville Predators returning to the playoffs. The Nashville Predators. Uzi Saros. He is now the guy in Nashville. Over a .920 save percentage. And when it comes to Nashville, we know what they're going to do. Same thing they did last year. They did the 4-4 because you keep Josi, you keep Ellis, you keep Ekholm, and now you have Dante Fabro as a young defenseman you're going to want to protect. So that means they're only going to be able to protect 4 forwards. Now, Ryan Johansson has a bad contract. So does Matt Duchene. They both have not been able to play up to that dollar value. So I was looking at it, and this is a hard decision now. Philip Forsberg and Victor Arvidsson are kind of the core guys there. Granlund's expiring contract. Sissons has a long-term deal. Reasonable number, but that Calle Youngcroc has been like their guy. I'm pretty sure he's leading. He might even be leading them in points, other than Roman Josi. Oh no, well, other than Forsberg. So yeah, he's up there, and he was protected last year too, or the last expansion draft. And then Luke Kunin or Ryan Johansson. This is kind of my struggle right now because Kunin or Kunin, whatever his name is, or however it's pronounced, he's still young, but he was traded for Nick Bonino. And that kind of shows, in my opinion, that there's something up. But he's been, 15th overall pick. You don't want to lose a guy like that. Like, yeah, let's see that trade. I guess there was draft picks in there too, second and third. So maybe they think too highly of him and they roll the dice that Ryan Johansson does not get picked. Only 20 points. I think that's what they're going to have to do. And I think that Seattle would have to take a page out of that book to do that. Moving on now to the New Jersey Devils. We have Mackenzie Blackwood would be the goalie that they would definitely protect. PK Subban's an interesting one. His career's kind of gone downhill ever since he was in Nashville. So Damon Severson, Will Butcher, and probably Siegenthaler. I can see them exposing PK Subban, and he could be a guy that sells tickets going forward. But we'll have to see what happens when we actually draft the team. Nico Hischier, Andreas Janssen, Miles Wood, Jesper Bratt, Pavel Zacha. Yeah, you want to protect all those guys. Michael McLeod, and probably Sharon Govich would be another one you want to pick up. So that's a pretty easy one for the New Jersey Devils. The Islanders, of course, are going to keep Semyon Varlamov. And Lou has something up his sleeve, so he's going to keep Leddy, Pulak, and Pelech for sure on the forward ranks. Barzell, Lee, Nelson, Jordan Eberle, Josh Bailey, John Gabriel Pajot. Like, this list pretty much does itself. Some expiring contracts, and let's see, Anthony Beauvillier. I think he's kind of had a bit of a fallback season. I was expecting him to take a big leap. I know I picked him in my fantasy hockey. 26 points only, but still young enough. He's 23. He's really talented. So, that kind of makes it hard because you're exposing Scott Mayfield. You're also exposing young players like Odo Koivola and Kiefer Bellows, Josh Hosang. That's an interesting one. Keep an eye on that. New York Rangers, because Shesterkin is exempt, they can protect Georgiev too, so their goaltending is set. Jacob Trouba's got a no move, so he's obviously going to be there. Ryan Lindgren and D'Angelo is going to get bought out, so I don't see you protecting him, and probably just take the other young defenseman. Up front, Panarin, Kreider, Zibanejad, all with no move clause. Ryan Strome, he's been a revelation. He's been there. Buchnevich, what a great season for him. Philip Hedl. And then it kind of comes down to some of these younger guys. Brett Howden had a step back. Ty Ronning, he's kind of got some infamy on YouTube. I remember Ty Ronning being on an expansion franchise for Seattle. Somebody had done a video of. Having actually a pretty good season, but he's been in the AHL. The ECHL more than the AHL. It's probably not a risk there. I think Julian Gauthier then would be the next best pick. Moving on to the Ottawa Senators. Now, this is where it gets interesting. I'm protecting Philip Gustafson over Matt Murray. Matt Murray has not had a good season. He's been better than he was off the start. But one of the reasons Ottawa, they've been a really actually good team. It's kind of a surprise you wouldn't even know it. But their start was so horrid, and Matt Murray is a big reason for it. And yeah, an 893 ain't going to cut it. Philip Gustafson had the best numbers, albeit a short sample size. He's going to be a really good goaltender going forward, and I think they can't risk losing him. He's the guy of the future, and Matt Murray's just holding that seat until he's ready. So hopefully they would see Matt Murray leave now. Thomas Chabot, obviously, he's their heart and soul. Josh Brown and Victor Mete would be the defensemen that I can see myself picking. And moving on now, we have Evgeny Dadonov, Colin White. Now, Colin White's one I'm kind of wondering if they would even consider. He's got a long contract, only 18 points this year. He's being passed by Josh Norris. So that's just something to keep an eye on there for sure. I'll see if there's more guys I want to protect. Brady Tkachuk, obviously. Logan Brown, young. Drake Batherson, really good player. Coming up. Where does that put me at? 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 4 right there. So I still have 3 forwards. Connor Brown. Sorry I missed him. At this rate, I think you can let Colin White go. And then, I think that they invested in him, so they will keep him. So 3, and then 1 more player. Do you take Nick Paul or Austin Watson or Tierney? Maybe just Tierney. And over to Philadelphia, we got Carter Hart. Really rough season in Philadelphia, but Carter Hart, he's still young enough. He's going to get it back. He's going to be the goalie of the future there. Provorov for sure. Sanheim, Myers, just really great defensemen. They got a good defense group, and I'm surprised at how much they struggled this year. Interesting to note, Shane Gostisbehere, who was placed on waivers as well this year. He's going to be available to Seattle. And this is where it kind of gets interesting. Hayes and Giroux have no movement clauses. Konechny, Couturier, Lindblom, Lawton, all guys I think that you have to protect. Do you protect Voracek? I think you do, just out of, if it comes down to Voracek and Van Riemsdyk, I'm pretty sure that you're going with you're going to go with Voracek. Van Riemsdyk had a great season, but $7 million ticket. Maybe Seattle bites on that just to have somebody who can score goals. Also interesting to note, Nolan Patrick, he will be exposed, and I think he came back. I don't know how well he's done. Nolan Patrick. I don't see him here. Oh, there he is. Yeah, so 9 points, 50 games. He's looking like he might be a bust. Some injuries have contributed to that for sure. Pittsburgh Penguins, the surprising Pittsburgh Penguins, under the tutelage now of Berkey and Ron Hextall. Tristan Jarry will be the guy they protect. Moving on next, Brian Dumoulin and Marcus Pettersson should be the defensemen there, along with the no-move clause with Chris Letang. Crosby Malkin, of course, and then this is going to be pretty easy. It's Gensel, Zucker for sure, Rust, most underrated player in the league, I think. Kasperi Kapanen and Jared McCann. Sure, Jeff Carter's been really good since he's been there, and he still has another year on his deal, so I just don't see Seattle touching him. It's kind of tough to leave Tanev, but looking at the list, like there's going to be a good player that Seattle gets out of Pittsburgh. Moving on to the San Jose Sharks. Martin Jones has been one of the worst goalies in the league. I think that his save percentage has been under 900 for like 3 years in a row. Let's see. San Jose right there. Yeah, look at that. So 896 this year. Corner. I guess you just protect him out of the necessity. Let's check it out. Yeah. 896. Oh, he's been consistent in 896 save percentage. It's just not going to cut it in the NHL. That's a big problem with San Jose, and that contract is still going. So yeah, hope and pray Seattle takes it. Maybe you throw a couple cookies their way. I think you protect Brent Burns even at his age, just out of respect for what he's done for the franchise. On forward, yeah, Couture, Kane, Meyer, Hurdle, LeBanc, Donato. Like, that pretty much does it itself, and then probably Gambrell. Yeah, that's pretty easy. Or maybe Rudolph Balcers. I think Balcers has been better this year, even though he's come and gone a few times. Let's see. I think that he's up there. Yeah, 16 points. That's pretty reasonable. And then moving on now, St. Louis Blues. Jordan Binnington got a new contract. Hasn't really been that great, but he's the guy. Now, I've mentioned I don't know what the heck that Doug Arneson was thinking when he signed Justin Falk to replace Alex Pietrangelo. He is not Alex Pietrangelo, but I think that they obviously like him. But if I'm protecting 3 defensemen, I'm protecting Krug, Parayko, and Dunn way more than I'm protecting Justin Falk. Moving on, forwards, Tarasenko, O'Reilly, Shen, Steen is retired, Jaden Schwartz, Perron has been their best player this year. And I think you protect Thomas and Kyrou like out of that. So you're going to expose guys like Barbashev, Blais, Sanford, like some good players going out there. It's one of the teams that's going to get hit hard by this. Tampa Bay Lightning, Vasilevsky, Hedman. Now, McDonough has a pretty big ticket for a long time. I think that they would be fine exposing him. And this is where I see it being a problem. Now, Cal Foote, he's definitely a possible pick up there for Seattle. Because I don't see a way that they could protect 4. Because I think you protect Eric Chernik. He's been a revelation since he's been over there. And then you go over here, and this is where I think everything in their power, they're going to do whatever they can to get Tyler Johnson on Seattle. So whatever they decide to do for their list, this is obviously what I think it's going to be. And the young players like Taylor Radis, Boris Katchouk, and Alex Barré-Boulet, Mitchell Stevens, Matthew Josephs, like Ross Colton, that might actually be the guy they protect over Killorn too. Yeah, I think there's a deal in place that they'll make that makes sure Tyler Johnson goes over there. And going on to the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Freddie, but Jack Campbell's the guy they're going to hold on to now. On D, yeah, Muzzin, Riley, and Brody. Like Hall and Dermott are going to be exposed, and that's going to be interesting because Justin Hall's been really good. Travis Dermott, at one time, he was considered to be like the next savior of their defense. 40 Goalman, Austin Matthews, John Tavares, Mitch Marner, William Nylander. Like, you could literally only keep those 4 and protect Hall because Zach Hyman's a unrestricted free agent. I think that, I don't know if Toronto's going to be able to keep him, so that'll be interesting to see. So maybe they do that. But if not, I think Hall would be exposed. They would protect Kerfoot, Hyman, and Engvall on top. Going over to the Vancouver Canucks, we have Thatcher Demko would be protected. Holtby would be exposed. On blue line, Nate Schmidt and Jewel Levy. You're probably going to want to keep him for that reason, for another reason. And Edler, he's just going to stay in Vancouver. No need to protect him, so you might as well protect Tyler Myers. Obviously, you got to protect Louis Eriksson. Psych. I just wanted to see if I could freak out any Canuck fans there. So Brock Besser, Bo Horvat, JT Miller for sure, Tanner Pearson, new contract. With everything going on with Jake Virtanen, I don't think that they protect him. Of course, Pedersen's their everything. They really missed him. And then it's like, do you protect a guy like Tyler Mott? Some of these bad contracts, I think they would have no problem letting them go. And maybe you just protect your young guys like Cole Lind and Jonah Gadjevich. The Washington Capitals now. Samsonov is the guy, even though Vanacek has played a lot more. Like, their goaltending is kind of troubled this year, but I can totally see Samsonov being the guy they protect on the blue line. John Carlson, Dmitry Orlov, Justin Schultz makes the most sense to me. Take those 3 guys down. I don't see a reason to protect a 4th. Maybe Brendan Dillon. That's a guy you're going to have to expose. Like I said, I'm protecting Ovechkin even though I know he's a UFA. He's going to sign. He's not going anywhere. It's plain and simple. So Backstrom's got the no move. Kuznetsov, Oshie, Mantha, Wilson. Yes, the enigmatic Tom Wilson. Carl Hagelin, Lars Eller, and this is where it's going to get a little tricky. So now you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 6 forwards right there that you got to protect. And I think Daniel Sprong would be the one. He's young, and yeah, you are going to risk losing Lars Eller, and that's going to be tough because he's been a great fit in Washington. Let's take a peek here at Sprong. Yeah, 13 goals this year. He's gonna be warranting that protection slot. And last but certainly not least, the Winnipeg Jets, who are going to lose in the first round to the Edmonton Oilers. Knock on wood. Hopefully that's the case. Connor Hellebuck will be protected. Morrissey, Pionk, Neil Pionk, one hell of a player. I'm torn right now between DeMello and Stanley. Considering DeMello has been a really good cog on a team that doesn't have much, I'd probably protect him over Stanley. Blake Wheeler, Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, Nikolai Ehlers, Pierre-Luc Dubois, Adam Lowry, Andrew Kopp. It writes itself, that list. It's going to be tough to expose Mason Appleton. He's had a really good season, but there we go. So that is the protection list now for all 30 teams. And the next video will be me actually selecting my version of the Seattle Kraken.